Hey, my name is Rowan Smith and I want to welcome you to the Training for Trekking podcast. Now, this is the world's very first podcast which is entirely dedicated to helping you train, prepare and conquer your upcoming hike, trek or mountain adventure. So once a week, I'm going to be giving you quality and practical information on the subjects of physical preparation for trekking, dealing with altitude and nutrition on the trail, so you can know everything you need to be doing to have the best chance of a safe, enjoyable and successful adventure. So now you know what you're in for, let's get into today's episode. Welcome guys to another episode of the Training for Trekking podcast. So today we're going to be talking about time efficient training for trekkers. So when you're training for a trek, traditional training programs usually involve just a whole bunch of walking. And they start off small with a couple of short walks and maybe a hike each week. And then they grow and grow and grow and grow. And over the weeks, they get bigger and you end up doing multiple hours of walking multiple times a week. And while this stuff can work for some people, for the majority of us who have jobs, who have families and other things going on in our lives, this time commitment is just not practical. And as much as it would be great in an ideal world to be able to do this amount of walking, it's just not going to happen. So one of the biggest benefits in my eyes of working with a strength and conditioning program is to ensure that everything you are doing is efficient. Meaning you aren't just wasting unnecessary time just walking and just throwing a whole bunch of work into your life and hoping it's going to get you ready for the mountain. But instead, all your workouts are sort of honed in to make sure you're covering all your bases, but with the minimal time commitment necessary. So you can still enjoy your life and it just doesn't have to be all about your trek. And this is the approach I recommend to most hikers, trekkers and mountaineers. And it's, in my eyes, probably the very, very best way you can go about things. But then if you go even further on this train of thought, there are quite a few people who struggle to fit in even this amount of work and who can barely even scrape maybe 30 minutes together each day to train. And they can't commit time to be doing long walks. They can't commit time to be doing hiking on the weekends. And I've been dealt with people who have been dealing with this type of thing, this type of situation in the short term when their life just gets crazy for a couple of weeks for whatever reasons, or when people who are constantly like this, and this is literally their day-to-day life. And some people might say in this situation, if you can't find enough time to train properly for these adventures, you shouldn't be going on them. But as much as this might have an element of truth in them, I'm much more of the opinion of working with people as opposed to against them and trying to scare things away. And while, if you are this strapped for time, you can never really guarantee that you're going to be fit enough and strong enough and stable enough to succeed on your adventure. That doesn't mean you shouldn't give it a red hot try. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing everything within your power in the time restraints you have to get yourself ready. So this episode is just about for those aspiring trekkers who are seriously time strapped, whether it's in the short term or in the long term, who need some quick training solutions so they can prepare for their adventure as best as they can in those time restraints that they genuinely have. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a few simple and practical strategies in which to apply to your training so you can actually fit some in. Now, the first thing I'm going to start talking about is home workouts. Now, home workouts are great purely for the fact that you don't have to waste time going to the gym. You don't have to waste time messing around. You can literally just do it around your life. So, you can wake up before your normal morning routine and do a little bit of work. You can do it just before you go to bed. If you've got kids, you can do it when you put them to bed. Or if you're, in between phone calls, if you work at home or whatever, home workouts can be really, really beneficial. And with the right type of plan, these things don't have to be long and you can get a lot of work done in 30 minutes. Now, I'm going to use the example here as one of my clients, Annika. Now, Annika came to see me. She's training for Kilimanjaro coming up. Her life is absolutely mental and she can literally only find 30 minutes each evening between when she puts her kids to bed and when she has to do a final work for the evening before clocking off. And it's literally only 30 minutes in a day she has to train. So what we decided was, look, we're going to take advantage of these 30 minutes. We're going to do everything we can to cram everything in here. So we've came up with a few different workouts, a couple of home strength workouts, which was purely just body weight. It was circuit based, so it's very, very time efficient. And we're covering up all those strength and stability things that trekkers really do need. On top of that, she bought an exercise bike because she quite enjoys being on the bike. And we came up with a few very particular 30-minute workouts for her to really get the most out of these workouts as we can. But instead of just saying, hey, go on the bike and pedal for 30 minutes, as many people might say, We were like, no, we want to get specific here. So we said we're going to do one workout where you're going to be doing a higher intensity, we call it aerobic power intervals, in which you get a little bit huffing and puffing and working in intervals around about 3 minutes. We're going to do one workout where you're going to be doing a hill workout where it's got a lot of resistance on the bike and you sort of grind it out and help develop that muscular endurance. And we're going to be doing one workout where you're just purely riding for 30 minutes to help develop what's called that aerobic capacity. Now that's 5 days a week. We fit in all of those workouts, 30 minutes each day. And again, as much as it's not as great as getting out on the mountain, getting on the trail, hiking around or doing longer workouts, we managed to fit a whole bunch into a week into practical solutions. So home workouts for her was absolutely key. Now, number 2 is the strategy of walking everywhere. Now, this is really common sense, but it does pay off. And for you, if you are time strapped, every extra kilometer you can get under your feet is going to help. So go for 20-minute walks on your lunch break and eat your food on the move, or get off a train stop early or a bus stop early and just do that extra little bit of work. Choose a cafe for your lunch or for your breakfast, which is just a little bit further. You might be thinking to yourself, what's the point? But trust me, every single thing here helps, and it really does add up. I had another client who trained her last year. Her name was Sylvia, and she was, again, incredibly strapped for time, really, really struggled to find time in a week, and she just didn't have time to go out and go hiking or do longer walks. She had a whole bunch of stuff going on. She was also training for Kilimanjaro. And this is the strategy we applied. And we were like, look, we're just going to put walking everywhere you can. So you're going to be walking half an hour to work. You're going to be getting off the bus early. You're going to be, when you get out of the gym, you're just going to walk to the longer bus stop as opposed to getting on the bus straight away. All these little bits and pieces. And she said herself, as she was going through, she was like, is this really doing anything? Like, is this really worth my time? And I was like, no, just trust me. It's going to be good. And then, a little while later, she went off, she did a trek, she came back. She was like, look, that was unreal. Like, got through it. All the strength stuff we were doing, our personal training was good, but also I 100% know all that walking added up because there was people around me who were in the same situation as me, didn't do the walking, and I was just so much more comfortable. So 100% apply that, and every little bit of extra walking you can find really does go a huge way. Next is multitasking. So this is where you're going to use time during the day where you're doing things that, don't require a huge amount of concentration and trying to fit a little bit of training around that. So for example, if you've got a whole bunch of emails that don't really need a huge amount of thought to them and it's just more or less responding and replying and staying on top of it, go into the gym, sit on a bike, bring your laptop and answer your emails while you're doing that. If you spend half an hour doing that a few times a week or an hour doing that a few times a week, that's going to go a long way. If you're on your morning commute and you've got literally nothing to do, you can practice abdominal breathing, which I'm a big fan of for trekkers, both at sea level and higher altitude. If you could practice your abdominal brace, so that's squeezing your abs on, or you could practice squeezing your glutes so you can actually get them working a little bit. Again, little silly things that you might not think really work out, do a huge amount, but over the long term, that works up. That really adds up. And if you're doing that on your morning commute every single morning, it really is going to stack up. Or if you're, at the end of the day and you're, just need to unwind and watch a bunch of TV, do some stretching on muscles that you need to mobilize in this time. Do a little bit of core work, do a little bit of foam rolling. Just these little bits and pieces that you need to add into your week, try to apply to here. And again, that stuff really does add up. And then next is make it social. So, if you don't want to go hiking because you've got family commitments or social commitments, you could choose a really short trail. It might be a few kilometers and you can do it with them. If you've got a little baby, put the baby in your, your backpack or your front pack and go walking. Or if you've got little toddlers, just take them on a little walk, push them in the stroller or whatever you need to do. Again, the kilometers add up here. And if you can even get a few extra kilometers on the weekend, that's absolutely great. If you have a whole bunch of catch-ups before you go with friends, instead of sitting in a cafe having a meal, get a coffee and go for a walk and catch up on the move. If you're going out drinking and you've got all this celebrating, get out dancing. As much as silly as that sounds, it does make a difference. I've got a whole bunch of different clients who've used this strategy really, really well. So ranging from just being disciplined with their, having coffee walking dates or walking around a bay as they catch up, to even one of my clients spent their 5-year anniversary with their partner hiking up in the snowy mountains instead of getting a hotel and relaxing for the week. Try to just do what you can to find a little bit extra work through the week. And then on top of this is, as much as I'm not a huge advocate of it for trekkers, this is where HIIT or high intensity interval training can come into its own. So if you've only got 20 minutes to spend in the gym, go in and get on the bike and do some 30-second sprints. Or if you've done a strength workout and you've got an extra 5 minutes to spare, get on the sled or get on the treadmill and do some sprints there. And this is where, as much as, as I always say, HIIT isn't the golden thing for trekkers. When you are compressed for time and you've only got a few minutes to spare, doing this super high intensity stuff can go a really long way. Now, all of these little bits and pieces really do add up. And again, I highly encourage you, if you are strapped for time, don't use it as an excuse just not to do anything and just hope you're going to get there and succeed. Do as much as you can, fit in some of these strategies and really try to apply them to your week. And 100% they will help. You might not feel like you're doing a huge amount, but over the long term and over the week by week, this stuff really does add up. Now, that's enough for the tips today. I do have one final offer for you. If you are in this situation where you're short for time and you're really, really struggling to fit things in and you're not 100% sure how to be structuring your workouts, I put together a little workout bundle for you. So it's called the Time Strapped Trek Up Bundle, and it's basically just a list of workouts which I've used with my clients in the past when they're really, really short for time, which you can apply into your week. They'll only take 20 to 30 minutes, and they really can go a long way. So if you'd like to get your hands on that, go to summitstrength.com.au/time-strapped. Get your hands on that. Give the workouts a go, and they will be very, very beneficial to helping you out. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you took a little bit out of this. And if you do get yourself in a situation further down the line where you do need these workouts and you do need these tips, please do put them into action. So have a good one, guys, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. You've been listening to the Training for Trekking podcast. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes. So thanks for getting involved, and we'll see you on the next one.